Professor Vern, how are you? Professor Vern, I feel like I'm in Frankenstein's lab. What is this thing?
Oh, Administrator, Robot and I have been experimenting with the ionization of air molecules using high voltage arcs.
Isn't your assistant a little bit too close to that high voltage thing?
Thank you for your concern, Administrator, but my insulation is certified up to 50,000 volts.
Oh, that's okay, Administrator. Robot likes to brag about how he's superior to us.
All right, well, whatever, Professor Vern. Can you tell me how bus schedules are made?
Great topic, Administrator. I have a mock-up to facilitate our discussion.
Let's check it out.
Okay. Administrator, what we have here is a fictional town with residential communities on the east side and employment centers, shopping centers, and medical facilities on the west side. Now, let's discuss how to make a schedule for a new bus route that will serve this town with an east-west service.
Professor Vern, when do you get the time to build these cool mock-ups?
Actually, Robot built this one.
You're kidding me, Professor Vern.
Do you think I am incapable of such a trivial task?
Quiet, Robot, or I'll unplug your power pack. Now, a lot of data is needed to plan a bus route. We start by establishing the east and west terminal points, and this is based on the locations of housing, employment, and other opportunities. Then, based on data concerning demand, such as employee shift times, we plan the daily start and finish times, also known as the span of service.
How do we know the amount of people we need to carry?
We gather data to help us estimate the demand that the route must satisfy. This allows us to establish the headway, which is the time between buses. Let's say that we plan a 30-minute headway for our new route, but if we see the buses all getting filled up, then we can change it, perhaps to a 20-minute headway.
And how do we plan where the bus stops go?
Well, we gather data about where people live and where they need to go, and this helps us to plan the ideal locations of the bus stops. It's kind of an art, not to plan too many or too few bus stops. Now, the next piece of information we need is the run time, and that's the time it takes a bus to service each stop along the route. We do this for both the eastbound and the westbound trip.
Can you give me an example of runtime?
Let's say that we need to begin our service at 6 a.m. at stop 1. That's also called a time point. And then stop 2 is at 6:07 a.m. And that at 6:40 a.m. is our last or terminal stop. That gives us a westbound run time of 40 minutes. You can kind of see how the schedule is taking shape. Now, we also plan for an additional time at each end to make up for any delays and to give the operator a comfort break. This is called layover or recovery time, and it's typically about 10% of the run time. Now, the next thing we need to know is how long does it take one bus to operate the entire route one time? That's called the cycle time, and it's done by adding the eastbound and westbound run times plus the layover times at each end. Let's say our new route has the same run time of 40 minutes for both westbound and eastbound, and that we plan for a 5-minute layover at each end. Then our cycle time is 90 minutes. Now, if we divide our 90-minute cycle time by our 30-minute headway, it tells us we need 3 buses to operate our service.
Wow, you're really schooling me today, Professor Vern.
That's my job, Administrator. Now, there's one more piece of information we need to build our schedule, and that's the deadhead time.
Deadhead? That doesn't sound good.
Let me explain. The time it takes a bus to travel to and from the bus garage is called the deadhead time. Let's say our deadhead time is 10 minutes. Now, the time that the bus leaves the garage is called the pull-out time. So, if we need to start service at 6 a.m., then we schedule our pull-out for 5:50 a.m. Now, we can make our schedule, and that's called trip building. Our new service will operate trips beginning at 6 a.m. with buses arriving every 30 minutes. Now, once we identify all the east and west trips that we need throughout the day, then we can build the blocks.
But what is a block?
Administrator, think of a block as a bus assigned to a trip. Since our new service needs 3 buses, we will schedule 3 blocks. Block 1 is scheduled to start service at 6 a.m. Block 2 is scheduled to start at 6:30, and Block 3 is scheduled to start at 7 a.m. At 7:30 a.m., Block 1 will have operated across the entire route and will be scheduled to depart westbound from the first stop. So, our 3 blocks will be scheduled to fulfill all the trips throughout the day, and that's how we make a schedule.
Professor Vern, I can't thank you enough for explaining how bus schedules are made. You take something so complex and make it sound so simple.
My pleasure, Administrator.
Vroom, vroom, vroom.
Administrator, don't you have other appointments?
Always when I'm trying to have fun.